Good morning. Bringing you, it's your girl, the beauty influencer. It's Tuesday. It is 8:30. That means it's time for tea. Good morning, love. A little tea and wild thoughts with me. Good morning, guys. Welcome, 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 welcome. Hope everybody is pushing through. Because that's all we can do these days. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, 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 welcome. Of course, I'm getting the vibe right. A little incense. This is Tibetan Lotus, one of my favorite brands here. I'm gonna do a little Palo Santo. And I'm savoring these last little sticks because I'm not contributing to this stuff in the Amazon. You know, we still got conscious issues going on. Drinking my red raspberry tea because I'm hormonal as fuck. So, yeah, good morning. Welcome. Hope you all are feeling well this morning. I'm going to plug a few things really quickly before I get started. Self-care store, Just Joy. Lemonade scrub. I've got chakra sprays. I've got love spray. I've got energy clearing kits. It has a Palo Santo in it, just like I just used. So you can find that at www.justjoy.store. The link is in my bio on my page. And so yeah, I'm doing fairly well, you know. My hair hasn't grown into a complete afro. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm going into that Martin episode, you know, where he had the locks on one side and the afro on the other. But, you know, we're pushing through it. We are pushing through it. So it's something that is actually helping me push through right now is, I also need to plug that I will be speaking this weekend for the Mindful Woman Retreat. It is an online retreat. It's going to be pretty dope. I will put a post up about that. Some really, really dope chicks. One lady from Boston and from Florida. And just some black females coming together, you know, to show some love. It's going to be a really nice movement. So, excited about that. So, yeah. Let's get to it. Welcome all questions, welcome all feedback, welcome all you to join in the conversation and talk to me this morning. Just know that you're welcome to do that, or I'll just sit here and ramble like I always do. So I was just saying that I have to be really careful, and I put a post up about this in the past couple of days. I have to be careful with too much time to think because I am just a pretty introspective person naturally. I kind of really, that's just what I do. My father's a sociologist. My mother was a high school counselor. I'm an only child for all intents and purposes. So my mind will just naturally, you know, kind of spiral down if I'm not careful with my own thoughts. And so I'm always trying to find, you know, constructive things to do with my time. I started reading this book by Brene Brown. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Brene Brown and her work. I'm kind of a mental health nerd. Just, you know, what I do. Kind of obsessed with her work right now. Really obsessed. She is a white woman from Texas, really down to earth. And she just really breaks down a lot about shame and how we all experience this sensation of shame. There's not one person in the world who doesn't experience it. And how we deal with that, the layers of it. The book that I'm actually reading is called I Thought It Was Just Me. And so, yeah, the layers of it, the causes, how we process and how we react to it is deep. I'm still reading it, but it has been blowing my mind. Good morning, love. It has been blowing my mind with helping me really sort through some things. Because again, you know, here we are in quarantine, like we are just sitting here with our stuff, with our shit, you know, the depths of it. And we really can't escape it, you know. And some of those things do bring up feelings of what I didn't even know either, shame. I found myself feeling really kind of nauseated and just thinking about some things that I just cannot control. I've been processing a breakup, I've been processing family trauma, and yeah, I'm like, okay, reading this book helped me understand, like, okay, where does that come from? I'm always saying, like, it's all connected. Some people experience it, and even when I'm doing my work with my clients and gua sha and working on their face wherever we have activity, it tends to be rooted in some type of emotional thing that's going on with us, whether that's in the heart area, sometimes it's in the throat, sometimes you're not speaking up, about the things that are bothering you, and that can manifest there. Sometimes you got the bubble guts, sometimes it's in the womb, like it could be sometimes in the shoulders, like it can be numerous ways that things manifest for us. And yeah, we're not really taught that as kids, and that's part of what she's saying as well, that nobody's telling us. Nobody, of course, if people could teach us when we're children, how to process these emotions and feelings of shame that come from things that we just, again, cannot control. I'm gonna try to get through this without, just rambling too much, but it's just making me think of, I remember this time in junior high school when, I'm playing around. I guess boys were flirting. I didn't really understand it at the time, but I was chasing this guy, and it had been raining outside, and we were just messing. He was messing with me. I was messing with him. We were running through this crowd, and I slipped in the mud and got this huge stain on my jeans that I had to walk around with for the rest of the freaking day. And I just remember, like, how that felt. Like, to this day, I literally remember how that felt in my body. How freaking embarrassed I was. How... And everybody, I mean, what can you do? It happens, But I just remember, how that felt in my gut and how it just was so embarrassing to me. Like, yeah. So that's part of what she's breaking down. Just instances like that where... we can start rooting or finding the roots of why we're reacting to things a certain way and the traumas that could have happened that, will initiate these thoughts. So, yeah, a lot of it is based in how we feel about not meeting expectations that are placed on us by society or our community groups. So, yeah, most of the time, shame is rooted in some shit that just, like I said, don't have nothing to do with you. Society has placed these rules on how you should feel about things, what you should have, what you should wear, how you should look, the decisions you should be making, your economic status. Society has placed all this stuff on you. And when you're not measuring up, or there is an instance where you feel exposed in a way, you start to feel shameful. And it's not a male or female thing, but we do experience that differently. So yes, it just, as I listen to her continue to talk about it, it just overwhelms me to think about the Black female experience. And I know I talk about this a lot, but it's the truth. As a Black woman, it's just the truth. We are in this marginalized group. We're not, okay, like when you think about it, you got white male privilege, right? White men have access to a whole lot. They might happen to be poor, and then that may put them out of, a certain spectrum. Okay. You got Black men, at least they're men. So there's a level of respect that they're just going to get automatically. And I'm not disowning any of the other experiences in any kind of way. I'm just saying, just they're men by the gender roles. They're not oppressed on that level. They get a certain level of respect just because they're men. They might be black, and there's a lot of issues that come with that as well. Then you've got white women. Okay, well, they don't have the gender issue, but they are still white. So they don't have to walk around with this skin color. Okay? But you got black women. Okay? You're already have the gender thing against you. You have the race thing against you. And if you happen to be poor, that's a whole nother layer. And that just to think about the amount of people who are walking around with these societal expectations that are just placed on them, just based on, as my father said, society was here before you, it's going to be here after you. That's just a lot. That's a lot. Just on things that you can't control, things you were born into. Like, there are people walking around with these levels of shame, including myself, just based on these societal standards. And, people always say they see a lot of confidence and like, you're so confident, but I absolutely have things that I am ashamed about. Good morning, love. Welcome. And that I feel shame and have internalized, I'm learning all the time not to sit up here. I love to be transparent and to tell my story and hopefully share my story in a way that helps other people think about themselves and their story. But yeah, I ain't trying to tell all my business, but yeah, so I'll share a few things that I feel shame about or have connected through this book. I've been talking about this book that I'm reading with Brene Brown called I Thought It Was Just Me. Her work is amazing. If you get to check out her TED Talk, she's on Netflix. I highly recommend. Highly recommend. So, yeah, I'm damn near 40 and I'm single. Again. That's something that, again, society just places, it's not even that I'm that old. But also society does say that I'm getting old, right? So that's something that, again, when I started going through this process and this breakup, it's like, oh my God, I started to really feel that within my gut. She says, too, that some of us, we disappear. That mean I mean, you find peace. You can get there. And I try to do my best to stay grounded. I have a lot of tools that I use and things that I've learned over time. I wouldn't say that I'm stress-free. I just have ways of handling my stress. And I found more constructive ways of handling my stress, like reading this book. And so I also don't have kids, I'm ambitious, One thing she's talking about in this book is women in power, and how, because we tend to find power, we tend to feel powerless. Most women tend to feel powerless on a regular basis, again, whether that's in relationships, whether that's just in the world, especially being Black women. And so when we see another woman who is powerful in whatever kind of way, and we tend to want to take that power from her. And I'm going to do another conversation. I was already thinking this morning on punishment of pretty. There are different types of privilege. I've talked about that before as well, where, again, even if, you may not give that woman a compliment, you may not validate her, you may not, it's just all kinds of ways, that we as women, we tend to compete with each other in ways that are just not necessary, and I tend to find very disappointing on a regular basis. But I'll get to that another time. Just talking about my shame. I come from a broken family, that has had a huge effect on me growing up in divorce, dealing with a brother who took his own life, so there's mental health things going on. And yeah, that's had an effect on my relationships. It's had an effect on the way I process relationships. So yeah, there's just noticing, again, through reading this book, it's like, wow, okay, that's what that is. There's shame that's connected to that. And she talks about the antidote of being shamed is empathy. And that when we share our experience in a way that helps other people connect to it, even if you haven't experienced the exact same thing, the one thing that we all have experienced is shame, and that it helps free yourself. It frees yourself and it frees the other people in your world. And when you don't find that empathy, sometimes we do meet people who can't reflect that to us, who can't empathize, who can't sympathize. They just don't have that capacity within them because they may not have faced their own shame in some type of way. And it's a hard thing to do. Don't get me wrong. But, that tends to suck, basically. I'm also self-centered, and I don't mean saying selfish. I tend to think as an individual. I've noticed more and more over time, and this is something that I'm working on, is that I'm not necessarily a group-oriented person. I'm an introvert. I like being one-on-one. That's why this format works really well for me, because I feel like I'm talking to each of you all individually, even though we are talking as a group. And I think that is rooted, again, in just having broken family. And even with my parents, I'm like, they don't come together. It's one-on-one, like it's always like that. So I've noticed that I can tend to shy away from a lot of group activities, So I'm challenging myself these days to step into these environments a little more. Challenge myself to, feel those emotions, kind of let it filter through and say, okay, because if I do, and I want to have a family someday. That's the truth. I think, again, with society and what they place on you, these other social constructs that I have no control over, I think when you see a woman who's powerful, who's ambitious, who's smart, you tend to assume, well, she doesn't want a family. That's not necessarily true. I will share this story as well, that I remember working on my first film. It's called, as a makeup artist, it's called Love for Sale. You may have seen it on BET. And it's funny because if you look in the first 20 seconds of the daggone movie, you'll see me in the very beginning, like dancing as an extra. So, but Pinky from Friday, I can't remember his real name right now, but I remember him talking to myself and my homegirl at the time. And he was like, yeah, as a woman in this industry, you're going to have to choose. You're either going to have to be the wife and mom, or you're going to have to be the professional woman. And I remember thinking to myself at that very time, fuck that. Like, why? You seen it? Yeah. And I didn't have any hair. I had a brush cut at the time. So, yeah, you'll see me dancing with a little black sweater on. But yeah, him telling me that, and I remember thinking to myself, no, I am not subscribing to that thought process at all. I don't want to choose. Clifton Powell, there you go. Yep, that's his name. I'm not subscribing to that. Now, I will say the journey, and I think, when I was, again, processing all this information she's sharing with me about shame, that was a big trigger for me. Big trigger. That set something off in me to kind of not conform from that very point. And it's been a journey. So far. I think that, again, society was here. There's nothing that I can do about that. There's nothing I can do about the way other people perceive women, you know, who are ambitious, and the fact that they kind of equate that with being a bitch, or that you can't be pretty and be kind, or you can't be, so many labels and constructs that they place on women, and then to be black on top of that just puts you again in other, puts different weights on things. But I just remember that experience and thinking to myself, he don't know what the hell he's talking about. He did on some levels, but I'm still working on breaking that mold in my life. And I believe that I can. I believe that I can. It's challenging. It's challenging. I was thinking about sharing this, you know, but let's just say, you know, I've had the opportunity to move on with my relationships. I mean, it's not that I don't have options. It's not the issue. And I have this here that, you know, my class status as a middle class black woman, and that's one of the conversations that I've had way early on, that because I personally, and there's no judgment whatsoever, but I personally don't come from a poor background. I don't come from a poor background. That's not something that I have against me, though. I think, again, when we think of black women, or when you hear America talk about black women, the urbans, you know, they don't talk about the black middle class experience. You know, what if you're a woman who doesn't have to depend on a man for any type of money? You know, what if your family does have it to provide for you? So, I haven't had to just choose, and not saying anybody else does, but just choose a guy based on that, or money is not particularly a stimulating factor for me all the time. That privilege or class status, you know, has given me the freedom to really explore relationships that really speak to me. What I need is emotional awareness. I need self-awareness. I need that confidence. And so, you know, I tend to, because of my confidence, I think I tend to run into a lot of guys who maybe don't have that, or I've just had a lot of interesting experiences, but it's hard to find an equal, because I think society places different standards on men in terms of their financial status. That is a lot of what makes them feel shame, you know, or those society expectations around what a man should have, is what gives him his value, you know. With women, it tends to be, you know, how we look, our attraction, you know, our body image, you know, our body shape, you know, those type of things. So, anywho, just been really exploring the layers of this, and I ain't gonna lie, it's nice to know that a lot of things that I felt and internalized, you know, aren't some because it's my fault. I've definitely made my own decisions, and I acknowledge and take accountability for that, but they've been stimulated by things that because of society's expectations, you know, or not meeting them. I personally don't see marriage as an accomplishment. I see it, again, as a privilege. You know, it's not something that I have to have or require, because for me and my these wild thoughts right here, that social construct doesn't work a lot. Like, for a majority of people, it's very challenging to have these societal expectations on you. It takes a lot of personal freedom away, a lot of no judgment to anybody else, what they want, what they have. For me personally, just based on my own experiences, I agree marriage is a blessing, not an accomplishment. Yeah. I'm gonna answer some questions really quickly. Because you take care of your dad and your mom doesn't get as much time. Hold on. Let's see. Do you feel uncomfortable at times when it comes to your parents? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. My mom is not, honestly, neither one of my parents are that emotionally cognizant. And that's the thing with the whole middle class thing, they've given me a lot financially. Emotionally, I kind of raised myself. So a lot of my emotional awareness, they can't meet me there. And the older that I get and the more aware that I get, I tend to be in the leadership role, which they come from a generation. I was thinking about this the other day about parenting, and I think that they felt like, my mom has felt like parenting is this devotion without any challenges, any question. You're just supposed to, she feels entitled to my love, which not, my mom's done a great job. But there have been things that she wasn't that great at. And emotionally is a huge one of that. And I think, again, there's shame in that, because as women, we're supposed to be great nurturers, right? She wasn't necessarily that. So yeah, my parents can definitely tear me apart, in terms of wanting my attention, and it can get weird. Yeah. So thanks for your question. Feel free, and my DMs will be open after this. I'm still working on getting us all on House Party. If you are on the House Party app, please add me. I'll add you, so that we can take this conversation and extend it beyond these 30 minutes that I have here online. I look forward to doing that with you guys. So I was saying, I don't see marriage as an accomplishment. Sometimes I get punished for being attractive. Not saying that I'm the most gorgeous thing in the world, but I definitely think, especially as a black woman, like, I think with women, we tend to, people want to possess you, and beauty is a form of power in its own way. But you think about the Halle Berrys and the J-Los and people like that who have gotten married later in life, and who were ambitious, and just because you're pretty doesn't mean that you, again, can't be a kind person, or they think you're just gonna be a bitch or something, and they might end up being a bitch to you first. And it's a lot of stuff that comes with it. It's like, look, I'm a human being. Like, I'm a human being. Yes, I have these. Yes, I have this. Yes. So what? And it also doesn't mean that I'm not intelligent. I had someone tell me they thought I was a lesbian because I was pretty and down to earth. And because you didn't want them, probably. Just because you're attracted to me doesn't mean I'm attracted to you. And I have every right to be attracted to what I'm attracted to. Like, I'm a human being. And so, again, even when it comes to men who have money, or a man who, yeah, I want somebody who invests in their appearance. I want somebody who, is intelligent as well. I don't give a fuck about your money. Not like that. That is just not something that impresses me on that level. So yeah, I will wait or forego and just keep my freedom and date and do what I do. So anyway, I'm gonna start wrapping up. It's taken me years to realize that majority of this shit just ain't my damn fault. And I continue to embrace the opportunity to live my life authentically. I'm going to share my wild thought of the day. Some of us are motivated to become everything the people around us want us to be. And some of us want to express ourselves so transparently that people fall in love with who we truly are. Neither is wrong, but we fall short of each other, only expecting that everyone wants what we want. We are not all motivated the same way. There's beauty in that if we choose to see it that way. So, thank you guys for your 30 minutes. Tea and Wild Thoughts. I try to do this every Tuesday morning at 8:30, God willing. Check out my link in my bio, the self-care store. check out the Mindful Women Retreat. I will be posting about that for this weekend. And add me on House Party so that we can chat and continue to chat a little bit later. So, all right, guys. I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you continue to stay safe and blessed and well. And I will see you all next Tuesday.